Hi, everybody. My name is Nathan Aswell, and this is Small Steps, Big Life, a show in which I talk to people who are living incredibly interesting big lives, one small step at a time. And this week, it is my joy to speak to a good friend of mine from San Diego, someone actually who did a show with me about a year ago now about something that she will talk about again, but it's taken on I was going to say a new urgency. Urgency isn't right. It's
That's a good one. I
urgency.
like that.
Yeah.
That's pretty
Okay.
good. Yeah, you got it.
Okay. A project that is really her passion, and it's grown. It's blossomed into something bigger and brighter and more exciting in the last year, and we're going to talk about that. Please welcome Sherry O'Hara. Sherry.
Hello.
Howdy do.
Hi. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. You look like you're in a high-end photo booth.
I'm at my friend's house. I'm like, your background looks better than mine. It's actually curtains.
Well,
I'll see the daylight.
No, looks great. Looks great. Nice contrast with your beautiful hair.
Thanks.
So, Sherry, let's say a few words about you. You are a singer, you are a poet, you are a songwriter, you are, what else? What other words would you like people to?
Well, these days I'm a producer.
Yeah.
I'm producing my second show in 3 months.
Yeah.
I don't know how that one happened.
Now, the first one was not yours. The first one was...
The first one was a production of Godspell that I produced and directed, and that was a ton of fun. So after I had that baby, I was like, hey, let's do another one. Let's do my show. So
Cool. All right. So that's what we're going to focus on. But before we get there, let's just back up a little bit and tell people a little bit about you. So originally from Baltimore, and then at some point, Vegas called you.
Yes.
In your 20s when that happened?
Yeah, I was 25 when I moved to Las Vegas. And
why Vegas? What happened in Vegas? What called you to Vegas, I should say?
I married someone whose family lived in Vegas, but I was a singer. I'm a singer, and I figured, wow, the entertainment capital of the world. Plus, I don't do snow very well, so the whole desert idea, music, it was a really good fit. So I said, let's not stay here in Baltimore. Let's go to Las Vegas. Wow. So I ended up there.
Wow. So he was from Baltimore as well.
She.
Oh, she. Wow. Okay. The plot thickens.
Already.
Okay. So, and then now you are no longer with that person.
No.
So many twists and turns since then, or some twists and turns since then, as all lives have. Okay. So Baltimore and so then Vegas and then San Diego called at some point.
Yes. I really missed water. I did the desert thing for 8 years, and there's something so sacred and spiritual about the desert. And I really missed water and being in a cooler climate, and San Diego's just so beautiful. It's such a paradise here. So after many visits, I was like, why don't I live here? So I moved.
Wonderful. So, okay. So now let's talk about these pieces of you that we just sort of tossed out, music and poetry and stuff like that. Were all those seeds planted, germinated, cultivated in Baltimore, or did that only begin once you got to Vegas? Or just tell us a little bit about that.
I'm sorry, can you reword that?
Yeah.
I got distracted by a second, kind of like glanced over at his messaging and squirrel.
Okay. It's just Meryl. Meryl's just having a good time encouraging us both on. Yes. Your development as an artist, did that begin in Baltimore, or did that begin in Vegas, or?
Yeah, I was actually born with that. I was had a passion for entertaining when I was little, tiny little thing, and developed a passion for singing when I was about 5 years old. And I had a little 45 of memories from Cats. And I sang to that. And my mother, she will tell you I was a prodigy, that I sounded like one of those kids off of Broadway. Now, whether she's lying or not, I don't know. But what I do know is that I loved singing even from then. And I would practice at nighttime. She would think that I was in bed, but really I was up, and I was like holding up the shampoo bottle and pretending I was accepting my Grammy. So yeah, and I became serious about it. When I was about about 15 years old, I started writing poetry. And I started college at 16.
Wow.
And and I studied music. And for the first time, I thought about writing songs. I was like, whoa, songs are basically poetry with music. So I got really serious about writing music. And so, yeah, that's definitely where that passion was born and that call was born. It's just in my cells.
Fantastic. Okay, so we could spend a lot of time talking about all that stuff, but I'm sure we're going to talk about that when we're talking about the show. So just before we started this call tonight, you and I were doing a little pre-call, and you said you shared you shared a moment, an Oprah moment, which I thought was really lovely. And that to me really sounds like when the idea for the show really got planted for you. So can you tell us about the Oprah moment you had?
Yes. I was living in Las Vegas I had already been there for about a year, maybe two. And I've always loved Oprah. I had been watching her shows for years and years, but I never really knew her story. And I think it was maybe like a 2020 interview, and she was raw and she was open and she was sharing her story. You know, all of the gruesome details of her reality growing up. And there was something in me in that moment that I just knew there was something that opened up that said, you're going to do this work. You're going to share your story. And because of the way that I felt in the vulnerability that she showed in that interview, and the way that I healed and opened up, I said, there's something to this. And there are people out there that are going to someday grow and heal from hearing my story. And not just from my story, but just witnessing the vulnerability that I display through my show. Right. So yeah, that's really where the seed was planted, even though I didn't recognize it yet as a seed.
Right. So this was, let's just give us a time frame. How many years ago?
Gosh, let's see. What are we in now? 2016. So it had to have been 11, 12 years ago.
Okay. And then after a few years was when the show idea began to come to your consciousness?
No, the show actually happened about a decade later.
Wow. Okay.
I was the center that I go to. It's Universal Spirit Center in Hillcrest in San Diego. And I host their Wednesday night experiences there. And I think it was a guest artist had to cancel or something. And the program manager said, hey, Sherry, do you want to take that spot? I was like, sure, I don't know what I'll do. He's like, well, maybe you can read poetry or something. And we had someone do a one-woman show here before. I'm like, I don't know, I have poetry. I guess I could read my poetry. So I was like, I didn't really give it a lot of thought. I kind of thought I'd, put something together and present it. And a friend of mine, her name's Brenda Edelman, and she has a one-woman show. And she invited me to see her show, and I went. And she talks about her life and the details of her life and the healing process. And it's raw and it's vulnerable. And it's told with an honesty that stings. And I thought, there's something to this. And suddenly that Oprah moment met the current moment. And in 2 weeks, I put together my show. And
so
was able to perform it with all of the poetry, all of the music, all of the content.
It was 2 weeks. Did you sleep?
Wow. 2 weeks. That's how, probably not. But, it was one of those things where it was clear that the divine was happening through me, because that was not my own making or my own working.
The fact that you really want people to witness your show, and your show is happening in San Diego. Not everybody who will see this is going to be able to see the show live. So, what do you want to share with people who won't be able to see it at this point live? Who knows? Maybe at some point you'll have the whole thing available online or DVD or something. But for those who can't see the show, and even for those who are coming to see the show, what would you like to say about it and your experience? And so it sounds to me like, first and foremost, it's something raw, open, honest, vulnerable, about your life path, your life experience. So I don't want to trivialize it. I want to honor
Mm-hmm.
the fact that it was a
Mm-hmm.
pretty intense experience. So I don't know what you want to say about it all. I leave that to you in your capable hands.
Sure.
Hmm.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Um, First of all, it is being filmed. That's why this Saturday is such a huge deal, because it's being filmed, and I've gotten a lot of really special effects equipment, and like this is the big shebang. And the reason I'm filming it is because I want to put together a very good trailer and demo material to send out there into the world, because this is a story that needs to be heard, and it is the story of my life. It is a story that I think many people can relate to. I'm going to get real right now. I'm just going to get to it. There was a lot of domestic violence in my home. I witnessed a lot of really tragic events. It was traumatic. I'm going to call it for what it was. It was genuinely trauma that I lived day after day after day. And poverty, the humiliation that comes with that, abandonment of my father, and then identity issues growing up, and coming out as gay, and then coming out again as bi, and feeling so disconnected from both communities, straight, gay, bi, who am I, what am I, and then losing my voice for 5 years in the process of all of this, and just really pushing through the process of forgiveness. Powerful, I dare say radical forgiveness. And not only for the people who hurt me on my path, but also for myself, for the person that I became in that, and the experiences that I had, the experiences that I created, and taking ownership of all of that. So my story, and then a suicide attempt along the way. Attempts. I only share about one in the show, but there was definitely more than one, just because of the pain. And, my story may not be identical to someone else's, but it's definitely a story that someone who has feelings of shame, feelings of feeling like they need to hide, feelings of humiliation, or even feelings of being stuck in trauma or old pain. It's something that I think anybody can relate to, no matter what their path is. And so the reason I do this work is because I recognized that so many people had not yet let themselves feel that pain or let themselves express it. And so my show is really about giving those people a voice, letting them see their own power and their own divinity, some for the first time. I was surprised after my show, the first time I did it, the people who came up to me, pulled me on the side and said, "I've never told anyone this, but."
Yeah.
And that's how I knew the work was definitely happening.
I just want to
So that's my show in a nutshell, and we can dive in a little more.
Many times over that when we are vulnerable, we give other people permission to do the same. And so it's really important, and it makes complete sense to me that after your show, people would have wanted to share their stories with you, because you opened that door. You by going first, you gave them permission to follow, to come through the door too. So on behalf of everyone who has seen your show and who will see your show, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
So before we talk more about the show, tell us about that 5-year period with the loss of your voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
Pretty obvious what that was about, but I'd like to hear you talk about it in your own words.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Beryl. What I had not realized was that my voice is what made me special. This is what I thought. Because of the attention that I got when I sang, the attention in my house. Oh, Sherry's singing. Everybody watch. And then when I started college, I heard that prodigy word again, because I was 16 and had earned multiple awards and a Music Student of the Year award, which outranked 400 other students from 3 other colleges. And so I found real quick that music is my superpower, and it's what makes me special. It's what defines me. And to dive even further into that, it's my connection to God, because I'm such a spiritual person, and music is really where I feel God and how I feel God. So I moved to Las Vegas, and I learned very quickly, within about 6 weeks, that there's this condition called desert throat. And it has to do with the low humidity. And most people are plagued with it if they come in and out of there, or it takes a few months to adapt. Took me 5 years. So when I first learned what desert throat was, I figured, great, it'll go away. So I got the vocal doctors and the vocal coaches, and drank the aloe vera juice, and had humidifiers in my home, and did everything I'm supposed to do. And months go by, and then a year, and then 2 years, and I'm learning it's not coming back. And this is shortly after I came out, and was with a woman for the first time. And I remember my very Catholic family giving their opinions, and I didn't care. I trusted in what I was doing. I remember, though, my mom asking me, "What do you think God will think?" And this ties into the singing. I remember saying to her, I was like, "You know what, Mom? I do so many things right in this world that if this one thing is wrong, it's okay, because I'm sure that'll somehow tip the scales in heaven, if this is even like a thing. In the meantime, we'll let God judge if that's what God does, and you don't need to. You can just love me." She said, "Fair enough." So I lose my voice, and I'm thinking, what if God is punishing me? What if that's what this is? And for the first time, I was afraid of being gay. And I was afraid of the punishment, because I didn't have an intellectual understanding of God yet. And suddenly I wasn't a special person anymore because I can't sing. Suddenly God doesn't love me. Suddenly I can't even feel God anymore. And that was tragic. That really was tragic for me. And I remember many days before I started my car, I would actually pray and say, "God, please let me get hit by a bus today, or a semi. Just, I can't be here anymore." So the pain was a pain I had never felt in my life. Of all of the pain that I had experienced, nothing compared to losing my voice.
Obviously, the symbolism of that as well, right? Besides and I can completely understand how so much of your identity was wrapped up in your musical identity. Completely get that. I completely get that, and I completely relate to that. So, I have lost my voice for periods of, a day or two, 5 years.
Absolutely.
I can't begin to comprehend what that would have been like. So, yeah.
Speaking was even
so how did it end?
A task.
Did it
Speaking
end with
any
you
louder
moving
than this?
From Vegas?
Actually, that's not the case. Through the years, I joined a theater group and got involved in theater just to feel the stage again. And I started singing a little bit there, like character singing. And that was good for my voice to get working again. But it wasn't until I joined one of the Centers for Spiritual Living in Las Vegas, and I sang for their open mic night. And my voice wasn't at its fullest, but they loved it. And they said, "Put that girl in the choir." I was like, "There's a choir here?" So I started with the choir. I didn't have to do much, just learn some soprano parts. And I remember getting up in that loft for the first time and singing again. And something came over me. It was a feeling of complete grace. Gosh, I haven't thought about this in years. I don't even share this in my show. Wow.
Because what an
Maybe
important
I should.
thing, the 5 year, to lose your voice and reclaim it.
Yeah. Well, I only have an hour and 15 minutes to talk about like 30 plus years.
Definitely.
But maybe I should include this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you heard this here, folks, first. So I just remember standing there, and this complete feeling of grace came over me. And I felt that it was over. I can't explain it. And I remember just looking up into the rafters, and it was a really beautiful, like churchy ceiling. And I looked up, I said, okay, God, look, I'm going to stop singing for my ego, and I'm here only to sing for you. And if I do this, I need you to give me back my voice. And so before you know it, I'm singing, my voice is healing, they're offering me solos, and then I'm on the platform on Sundays, and then I have my own Wednesday night service, and my voice was healing. And I moved to San Diego, where it continued to heal, and now it is back better than it ever was before. So it was just that single moment of standing on that choir loft that shifted things, and I could feel the entire shift. It was like new train tracks suddenly just derailed from the old path, and it was just this whole new path.
Well, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. So let me just add to that. So you know, as I grew in my spirituality and developed more of an intellectual understanding of spirituality and God, then dropped back into that heart space with the healed mentality, I definitely learned that God was not punishing me, that there's nothing wrong with being gay, and just, you know, I learned all of that. And definitely learned that it's not my voice that makes me special. I got to learn, you know, in that 5 years, it was a blessing in disguise. And I honored that time of not having my voice, because I got to really connect with the true voice that was speaking from within me. And I got to truly see the truth of who I am and the truth of what's really beautiful about me. So that's how the whole story ends, with that experience.
My God, girl, you got to get that in the show for sure.
Right? Yeah. I touch on it briefly,
but that's
the
great thing about your show. It will continue to evolve. It's your life story. So as your life continues to evolve, I'm sure there will be things that you will tweak. And like even the version of the show that you did last year versus the one you're doing this year, many changes, I'm assuming.
Yeah, you know, the thing that I'm learning about this show is it definitely has evolved. It's not even, I mean, the story content is the same because my life, the past hasn't changed, but the depth, the vulnerability, the willingness, and the presentation definitely evolves. And of course, things add on. And one of the biggest plot turners was my father passing away this year. And I've talked about him in the show. So now it's a little different. And he passed away only 2 months ago. So I tend to not share things that I haven't healed from in the show. But, you know, considering the subject matter, I kind of have to include this. So it really puts me in an extremely vulnerable place. So yeah, we'll see how that goes. But one thing I've learned is the show's about vulnerability. And I used to have this fear of crying on stage, and it's like, oh no, girlfriend, you know, the more raw, the more vulnerable, the more the audience trusts the process of what we're all together doing. So if I start bawling over my daddy, I'm just telling you, I'll keep it real.
So when I do these shows, I'm always thinking about the 4 points from my talk, Small Steps, Big Life. And so the first one is, you know, starting. And so we spoke about that, your aha moment, the seed that got planted with Oprah, and then, you know, seeing the one woman show last year and 2 weeks before your first show. So the second one is, you know, asking for help. Who is helping you? Who has helped you? Who has been instrumental in supporting you to get to the point that you're at today? And I know you're like me. I know you're like, got to do it all myself. And I know there are a number of people, if you were to think about it a little bit, I'm sure that you would start being aware of, if you're not already, many people who have in one way, shape, or form supported you in this, got you to where you are today. So this is an opportunity to just acknowledge some of them, whomever comes to mind.
Absolutely. You know, it definitely starts with my friend, Brenda Edelman, having her show. And what I didn't realize when I first met her was she actually has a business coaching people on how to start their own one-person show. And she has a whole online class or online course about it. So she has been hugely instrumental in this whole process. And we do phone coaching sessions. We meet for coffee. I email her, Facebook, or whatever it takes, anytime with any questions I have. And she's been my one-woman show godmother for sure. And then one of the reverends at the center, she's moved on to another center. She started her own. Her name's Reverend Tricia Burson Johnson. And she and I sat down in that 2 weeks, and I said, oh my God, Reverend Tricia, I don't know how in the heck I'm going to put this together. I have all these ideas. I have all these poems. I have this story. So she sat with me and she's like, breathe, breathe. And we put the show into form. And we went through all of my poetry. She helped me pull the ones that didn't quite fit, because I have like over 100 poems or more. So we went through each one and narrowed it down to like 7. And that was huge. That was huge for me. And much of the form that we put together, I still have to this day. So she's been huge in helping me with that. And of course, the support from the people at the Spirit Center where I go, being able to practice on them. They've been fabulous guinea pigs. Sorry to call you that, guys, but they created such a safe space for me, a safe, loving space to practice and get my feet wet on this journey. And they've given me that confidence to take this show out into the greater world. So each and every one of them I'm so grateful for. I feel like I'm accepting my Academy Award right now. So my mom has been so great, and not the way one would think. Her initial fear of the show, like, Sherry, in telling your story, you're telling my story, girlfriend, and I'm a private person. And my inner teenager really appreciated her resistance, because that inspired my rebellion even more to be like, no, I will do the show. And I tease about that. We've talked a lot about it, and now she's so hugely supportive. She's my #1 fan of the show. But yeah, her resistance really fed my desire to do it even more, because I recognized her fear of vulnerability. And when she sees this, she's going to want to choke me. But love you, Mom. So in recognizing her fear of vulnerability, I recognized that there would be people like that in my audience. And so I really learned how to hold that space for them. I really got to learn their voice, what they're probably thinking, what they're probably wanting to say, and how to meet them with compassion and respect and pace. I'm a bit of an empath, so I can feel the energy of my group. So when I feel it's getting a little too heavy, I lift it, get them laughing a little bit for a second there. Because I just want to meet them where they're at. So my mom's been such a wonderful messenger that way. So, and then now I have a fabulous team of people who are supporting me. And yes, I'm still doing so much of it on my own, because I'm still learning how it's all happening. So I don't know how to delegate just yet, because I don't know what to do yet. It's happening now. But the team of people I have now are just fabulous. I have some of San Diego's best musicians coming in to play for the show. I have one of San Diego's best sound guys coming in for the show, a really great videographer. Wonderful. So I've got a good team now.
Thank you for sharing all that. So then the next the next point that I'd like to make is the next small step, as it were, is the importance of persisting, sticking with it. And to me, this is kind of the most obvious question to ask, but I'll ask it anyway. Why do you persist with this? Why do you want to keep telling? What is your why? That's probably the most direct way I can say it. What is your why in sharing your story with the world? You've already touched on that, but maybe there'll be more thoughts that will come through now that I'm framing it that way.
Of course, yes. The why. I think there is that 8-year-old girl. I refer to her in the show. that 8-year-old who feels voiceless, who feels powerless. And I think for so many of us, that child is still so alive and still governing so much of who we are today. And I recognize there's so many people, like I said before, who have not yet given that part of themselves that voice. And there's something so, there's a certain beauty in witnessing somebody else's process of recognizing their power and their voice for the first time. So the reason I keep doing this show is to be a part of that process for as many people as I possibly can. And it started with a small group at a church, but I would love to see this globally. I would love to travel the world with the show and to put that light in as many dark places as possible. And there's something else I was going to say about that.
Yep, you will.
It'll come back. It'll come back when it's ready to.
Yeah.
Oh. But anyway, yeah, that's why I keep doing this, is just to facilitate that process for
and the last
people.
question I ask, and again, I think you've already answered this in some respects, the importance of being grateful for the entire process. And so to reframe that, what I mean by that is inevitably in whatever our dream is, there are setbacks, things that we initially perceive as big steps sideways or even backward, but turn out in the long run to be real gifts that move us forward in a way that moving in a straight line could not have done. Besides, obviously, the life that you lived, what ends up being the subject matter of the show. Are there other things that come to mind when I say that? Things about the way the show has taken shape last year, in the last year, when you did it last year, or whatever else. Just anything that comes to mind. Perceived setbacks that have turned out to be blessings.
Let me think about that one for a moment. I actually took some notes based on our last interview, and there was something that I wanted to share. Yeah. Yes. So one of the biggest challenges was secretly worthy issues. I think that's something a lot of us deal with. But what I've come to realize is that my life felt so normal with all of the violence, and that was a daily norm for me. So it felt weird for me to really be telling that story, because it's like, well, isn't this everybody's life? And it's really not. But what is everybody's life is something that we hide or are ashamed of. And so for me, it really was, well, who am I to not only share this story, but to be this person who facilitates someone else's healing process? And it just all of those old mind games, just what do I have to offer? And just that drama, those old tapes playing. So something happened when my father died. And because I've been sitting on this show for a long time, like I've been dragging my feet on getting my website done and doing the show again. So when my father died at the end of May, I cannot explain what happened, but a part of me woke up. It was like when he left, a part of me had room to wake up. I can't explain it. And I know that sounds terrible, but someone described it to me as continuing his work. So now it's like the two of us are living through me. And I definitely feel that. So when something in me woke up, it was this voice saying, now is the time. And I really, holding his hand as he slipped away, I really recognized the shortness of life and how quickly it really goes. And it's not like I intentionally was like, oh, I'm going to do my show now. It was a process that happened through me unconsciously. And the call to really get serious about the show and the call to get really clear about the purpose was so clear, was absolutely so clear that the worthy issues fell away. And from time to time, I hear them I hear those old voices and I thank them.
Yeah.
And I let them be, and I speak with a louder voice, and I say, oh no, girlfriend, this is how it's going to be. And I've just bulldozed my way through so many old walls in this past 2 months, getting the show together and getting it really out there. So yeah, I think one of the things that I've also come to realize is when I overcame the worthy obstacle, it's not like it went away. It's just I don't hear it as loudly. So
right. Yeah, because I like that image a lot, and I can relate to it very much too. The voices never go away, but the volume
exactly,
diminishes. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's talk nuts and bolts, baby. We haven't even talked about we haven't even told people the name of the show. So let's start
We haven't
with that.
even told them the name of the show.
I know. I know.
So it's been Poetic Musicale. And I've been playing with it a little more. It's been Poetic Musicale, a spoken memoir of survival, strength, and spirituality. But a shift in the name has been wanting to happen. And I feel that it became clear today because I love the words Poetic Musicale, because that's essentially what it is it's a poetic musicale. So now this is what I'm playing with now. It's Sherry's Poetic Musicale, a one-woman show about survival, strength, and spirituality. And I think that flows better. I want to know what you guys think.
Yeah. I like it. Yeah, I like it. It's you've personalized it more.
And it seems to do, yes. Thank you, Meryl. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. And Meryl is asking a great question here, and I'm so glad she did. Can you give us a little a cappella excerpt of something from the show?
You know, it's funny you asked that, Meryl, because I was prepared for this question.
Excellent.
I was prepared, so let me just get my starting notes, shall I?
Yes.
If my
God bless iPhones.
Oh, come on. Well, let's not say that just yet.
Well, I have the same. What
I
pitch do you
need E flat.
Okay. E flat coming right up.
Like excellent. Oh, okay, good.
Yep. There we are. E flat. It is.
I even did a sound check before this.
There's your E flat.
Okay, thank you. I am here to be happy. I am here to dream. I am here for life's miracles that are waiting for me. I am here to see beauty and all that is true. I am here to be loving and celebrate you. I am here to be the voice of the universe, to let the music from within my soul be the voice of love, to let my heart and mind be pure, to let peace guide the way to freedom. I am here. I am here. I am here. I am here. So that's just a little snippet from one of the songs. Yes.
Beautiful. Oh, that was sweet. I'm so glad you did that. Thank you so much, Meryl. And as you were singing, I just thought about the first time that I ever heard you, the first time I went to USC. And you know, you go into a place and you're just kind of trying to get your bearings and who's around and stuff. And, you know, you got up to do the congregational stuff and you were standing beside me or nearby, whatever. And I had the same reaction then as I just had now. I was like, you know, oh yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah. So just, Yeah, it's completely clear that as soon as you're saying, you know, direct connection to your heart,
Oh,
right? And I'm sure everybody who is watching this will feel the same thing. It's just like, oh,
yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
yep, yep, welcome.
I didn't project as much
Yes.
though, because I tend to have a really big voice and I didn't want to like blow out speakers or anything. So I did the whisper
It was
voice just
perfect.
for you.
It was perfect. Happy birthday, Mr. Kevin.
I love it.
It was spot on. It was absolutely perfect. Great. Okay, so the show is happening this
Yes.
Saturday, August 13th. It's happening at 7 o'clock at Universal Spirit Center, which is in Hillcrest.
Yes,
Is the information for this on your
it
website?
is. It is
Okay,
available.
and your website
it's
is
sherryohara.com, and it's right there
without
on the
the
homepage.
apostrophe, of
What's
course.
that?
Right. Without the apostrophe.
Yes, no apostrophe.
sherryohara.com, all one word.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Tickets are 15 in advance, 20 at the door.
Yes.
Show starts at 7 on the dot. Doors will be opening at 6:30.
You got it. You
Yes?
got it.
Okay. What else do people need to know?
What else do they need to know? Be prepared to have your heart open up. That's the big one. Be ready and be prepared to be vulnerable and to heal, to let go of the old stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So, and my next thought is, because the question I usually ask at this point is what's next, but I want to be a little more specific with you, because I know that we can go here, we can have fun with this. I invite you in front of everyone who's watching in real time and everyone who will watch this whenever to vision aloud what your next steps will be. And you and I have had some fun conversations about this, you know, the ways that you're thinking about constructing the set and things that are portable to travel with. And so just go there, just riff on that and talk about the next 6 months,
Ooh,
year, 5
yes,
years,
yes,
whatever.
yes.
Go wherever you want to.
Yes, there's actually, it does not stop with the show. There's a lot of post-production stuff. In order to be portable with the show, I have the idea of recording all of the music so that I have my own tracks that I can travel with and plug into someone's system. This way I don't have to have new musicians learn my music, and I'm just ready.
Right.
So that's the next big step, and that's going to be happening within this month.
Mm-hmm.
There's a really gifted woman here in San Diego who makes videography and art. And I've seen some of her work, and I cannot wait to get the trailer done for my show. And also creating a demo reel. So something like 10 minutes to give, prospective venue, just a feel of the show. And then booking it, getting out there. I'm networking like a mad woman. I've barely been home because I've been in so many meetings in the past few weeks, just meeting people. And I've made so many contacts to get this into, especially an organization here who does prevention for sex traffic or human trafficking. And I have a connection to the prison. I'm submitting it to TED Talks. So I want to get it up to Agape. That's one of my big goals as well. I love that place. So those are my next steps.
Say a little bit more about Agape for
Yes.
people who don't know what Agape is.
I hope I do it the name justice. Agape International. Yes, but the founder, his name is Michael Bernard Beckwith, and he has been featured on Oprah. He was featured on The Secret 10 years ago when that came out. And so Google him and you'll find Agape International Center. So yes, that sounds about right. So it's like a mega church for New Thought, and they're my kind of peeps. So I want to get it there. So those are the next steps, and they're definitely not small steps. But I'm not one to always take small steps. Sometimes I like to just leap.
Well, and there are a number of small steps that you'll take to do
Yes.
those leaps, right? So it still is always small. So I think it's great that it's this version of the show, and then it's, the next step, okay, yeah, let's record the music so we can make taking the show on the road more portable. So for me, every sentence you are sharing small steps. You are showing how a number of small decisions are leading to your big goal, which is, taking it wherever you can. I have a question to ask you, and that is, is one of your thoughts to focus on the lesbian and gay community as a way to share this, spread word about this?
Yes? Absolutely, because I am the B in LGBTQ. So, so definitely, I think being the B gives me the opportunity to communicate with the community and get even more education out there. But it doesn't matter if I'm the B or the Q or the L or any of it, because we're all one community. And they're definitely a community of my fellow brothers and sisters who have had some really tragic events of being excommunicated from their churches and their lives, and maybe are not in a place in their lives to recognize their own power and their own divinity. So absolutely. I also want the show in prisons. I have such a call to be in prisons, to go into the prison and with these people. Where else? Women's shelters, for sure. Addiction rehab facilities. I myself have never struggled with addiction, but that doesn't mean I can't see the divinity in another human being who knows what it is to have a hard time. So there's lots of different communities that I want to connect with.
Wonderful. And so have you begun that? Have you been reaching out to people in the San Diego area or beyond San Diego? Like where are you at this point?
I've been right now. It's interesting. Spirit centers are where the show's wanting to happen. I've been invited to different spirit centers up and down California, up in Washington, in Las Vegas to have the show. And I've already started opening up doors for the other venues that I shared. But it isn't really until I have a package, a nice media kit with the demo and with the music and, with all of that I can really get serious about getting it into the hands of those people to have it at their places.
Right. Okay. So again, not at all not at all in a pressure way, but when would you like to have the package ready to then share with everybody? End of the year? Not even. I'm ready now. So I'm taking a vacation next week into the desert, complete silence. And then when I get back, there's going to be a trail of fire behind me. My goal is to have all of this complete by October 1st. Okay. I was just going to say end of September. Okay, great. Okay. Well, on behalf of everybody watching, I will help you to envision that. I will envision the show going well, the time in the desert feeding you deeply, and then an intense month of, dotting your I's and crossing your T's and doing all the things that need to be
I want to acknowledge something here that I see. Who is what is your name? I see.
Mist of Sky.
Yes. Try to find me on Facebook, but would not let you friend request me. Oh, you know what? Stephanie. Hi, Stephanie. I will look into that as soon as we disconnect here.
Okay.
Yeah, can you, let me grab a pen here. Would you do me a favor? Can I have your last name too? Because I will look for you and friend you and then figure out what the heck's going on.
Let me just explain why you're doing that for people who are watching this a little later. In the rebroadcast, people cannot see the chat. So what's happening is someone has just requested to connect with Sherry, and so she's just reading that message from the chat, and we'll deal with it after the show is finished in real time. And just while we're on that note, I just would like to thank everybody who is here. It looks like we have about 5 people, I think, who are with us. And
I'm going to write down your information too, Meryl.
Yeah. Meryl rocks.
You do rock, Meryl. You were the first guest on here.
So yeah, thank you. Thanks to everybody who is here in real time. It's always nice to have folks with us in the chat area. So, yay.
Yes, thank you.
Sherry, what have I missed? What have we missed?
You know, there's something I always like to say at the end of interviews and at the end of my show, and it's the overall message of my entire show and purpose for doing this, and it falls into just a few words, and that is, you are powerful. And that's it. Just recognizing, each of us recognizing our own. But I'm going to talk specifically to you, you, Nathan, and you guests, and you who are watching this right now from across the seas, across the airwaves, and in your homes and wherever you are, is that you are powerful, and that you are not your past, and that you are not your experiences. You are not your family. You are not your history. And it's just that the absolute truth is that you are a powerful expression of absolute perfection, capable of any single thing you put your mind to. So that is the big message that I would love for you to walk away with in this interview.
And I would assume that you were able to say that with the confidence that you are presently exuding, because you know it to be true for
Absolutely.
yourself.
Absolutely.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Welcome. Let me just check in chat here. Does anybody have a question for Sherry before we wrap up? I'll just, if we don't get any response within about 15 seconds, I will assume that there are none. We've had a few requests for contact, but it doesn't look like we have any questions.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. So somebody, yeah. Stephanie wants to talk to you one-on-one, looks like. Okay. All right. For those of you watching, this is Small Steps, Big Life. My name is Nathan Aswell. I'm based in the Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada area. And it has been my joy to be speaking with my pal, Sherry O'Hara, who is just a very sweet and powerful soul based in San Diego, who is going to be doing her one-woman show. Give us the new name, Sherry, or give us both names. Give us both names. Give us whatever you want.
So the name I started with that everyone's familiar with is Poetic Musicale, a spoken memoir of survival, strength, and spirituality. What it has evolved into is Sherry O'Hara's Poetic Musicale, a one-woman show about survival, strength, and spirituality.
Boy, there's going to be a lot of letters on that marquee, but we'll get it all in. So just to repeat for those who are who didn't get this information earlier, the show is happening this Saturday, August 13th at Universal Spirit Center. That's in the Hillcrest area of San Diego. And all the information is on Sherry's website, sherryohara.com. The show starts at 7. Doors open at 6:30. Tickets are $15 in advance or $20 at the door. And while she is filming, hey, go and be a part of the filming. Go and lend your energy to this event so that Sherry can then go on and get on with her vision, which is of sharing it with as many people around the world as she possibly can.
Mm-hmm.
Sherry, I love and appreciate you. I'm glad that we've had a chance to celebrate you twice, and I look forward to doing it again when you're, who knows? Yes, Nathan, I'm happy to be talking to you now as we have now moved the show to the cruise ship, and I'm in the Mediterranean right now. Who knows?
Can you see that? People healing their wounds on a cruise?
Hey, Abraham is doing cruises now.
Really?
Yeah.
I didn't know this.
Yes.
Hmm.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And a number of people that we both know, Karen Drucker, whatever. There are cruises designed for people who want to do songwriting or do inner work. Absolutely.
What?
Yeah.
What?
See?
I didn't know this. Have I been in a bubble?
All I'm asking for is 10%. That's all I'm asking.
You got it, babe. You got it.
Okay. All right. So I'm just going to officially sign off. But let me just, on behalf of everyone watching and everybody who will watch this, thank you, Sherry, for just being the bright light that you are. I know that you have changed lives, and you will continue to do so, probably exponentially more, as in the days coming. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
So don't go anywhere. You and I will stay. I'm just going to officially say goodbye to everyone. Thank you so much, everyone, for watching. Love and blessings to you. I hope that that this talk has fed you deeply and that you, if you can't get a chance to see Sherry in person do her show, that you do go to her website and find a way to experience it at some point down the line, either when the show comes to your city or town, or when she has some version of it available online, or both.
Or DVD.
Or DVD, yeah. Okay. So love and blessings to you all.
Blessings to you.